Alright guys, Biff here. Welcome back. Today let's talk about the TP-link ER605 OMADA Gigabit VPN Router. I previously posted a video on how I improved my home network using a low-cost but quality solution. Now I have a wall-mounted, easy-crimp, dual ISP gigabit network setup. That's a mouthful. I highly recommend that you watch the video so you'll have an insight on how it all started. Then I stumbled upon the TP-link ER605, a product that I think can definitely improve my new setup even more. I bought this because it claims to support up to 4 WANs and connect up to 4 different internet service providers to my network. It can automatically switch to a good active internet port whenever one of them fails or has an issue. Being automatic means less human interaction with the hardware and cables. In simple terms, a much better solution than the mini empty VK that I used in my previous video. And even if I currently have no issues with the mini empty VK and my setup, the ER605 is just so tempting to buy because of it being automatic. Well, that's the main reason I bought this. But surprise, surprise, it also claims to have a boatload of features, namely a VPN gateway, firewall, DHCP with bandwidth control, and much more. In this video, I'll just be focusing on improving my manual switching dual ISP configuration. And since this unit has so many features, I think they deserve to have a video of their own. So if you get something on your mind, possible use case scenario that you need, questions about the router, comment them down in the comments down below, and I'll try my best to give them justice on the next one. And if you think this video is useful, all you need to do is to hit the like button down below. This is the best way this video will be suggested by YouTube to others who also like this kind of stuff. And lastly, if you haven't already, now's the time to subscribe and hit the bell so you will be notified on the next ER605 tutorial. And so, let's unbox, do our initial setup and partial review of the TP-link ER605 OMADA Gigabit VPN Router. Let's do this! I got this for 2,238 pesos or around $43. Just be aware of scams. Some are selling this online for less than 1,000 pesos. In the description is the link for this particular purchase if you want to order. The main selling points of this router is that it has gigabit ports, supports up to 4 WANs, supports different VPN protocols, load balancing, and central management of your networks. This product is marketed as a business solution. You won't probably see this in a normal consumer grade shop. The unit can be used as a standalone router, best for small networks like mine, or in a controller environment for large-scale networks that needs centralized control. With my home network, I'll be using it as a standalone router. Maybe in the near future, I'll experiment with controller mode since cloud access or remote management is only available using that mode. The ER605 is packed with so many features that a normal home network won't probably need. Just comment down what you think is interesting and I'll try to include them in the next video. The ER605 was first released on December of 2020. ER7206 on the other hand is a more expensive version of this which was made for even larger networks. It was released on March of 2021. Both units are still in production and viewable on the TP-link website as of this time. Inside the box, we have a 9V power adapter, rubber pads, an Ethernet cable, some documents, and the TP-link ER605 Gigabit VPN Router. The unit comes with a full metal casing. we have 5 ports in front, LED status indicators, and a reset pinhole. The sides have vents for airflow. At the back, we have the power port and a K-lock. At the bottom, we have a label stating the default IP where we can access the settings and other information. The first thing we have to do is to stick the rubber pads. These tiny little things are very useful to keep the router in place. The unit doesn't have a power button. Plugging it in will turn on the unit. Power LED check. Next is to directly connect my laptop using the provided Ethernet cable. Then to the unit's LAN port. It takes a few seconds to detect. But you can see that it does if the LAN port and system LEDs are already flashing. In my network settings, I only enabled Ethernet connections for now to simplify the process. Since I already connected my laptop to the router's LAN port, make sure that the icon is on its normal connected state before proceeding any further. Right-click and click status. Here we can see that we have a gigabit connection and the internet is still not connected. Clicking details will let us see the IP addresses provided by the router for the laptop. Pay close attention to the gateway and DHCP server's IP. They are usually the same and should be similar to the IP posted on the underside of the router. This is the router's IP address. It may differ if the router is already configured and altered by someone. If the IP was already changed, just look at the gateway or DHCP address to get the router's IP. Now let's open a browser app. Any browser will do. Input the IP address that we mentioned previously. User registration is required in the first attempt. After registration, you will be asked to log in. It is easier if you save your credentials in your browser. Just don't do this on a public computer. On the landing page, we can see the system status, which states that R1 is still down. That's because I still haven't connected it yet. Traffic statistics will show both interface and IP statistics. We still have nothing to see here for now. You may encounter lockouts during the unit's lifetime, thus preventing you from doing important adjustments to the system. You will have 10 login attempts. After that, the system will limit another attempt until the next couple of hours. We can revert everything back to factory settings, passwords included with the reset pinhole. Insert a paper clip or something to the pinhole for around 5 seconds. Just pay attention to the system LED. It flashes when it's done. Then wait while the router restarts and loads to factory settings. The reset pinhole is a very good feature on all routers. This is a way you can tell the people who messed up the configurations who's the boss. If you access the router's IP again, admin registration will be back and everything will reset to factory settings. Before messing with more settings, I recommend we look at the system tools first. In the admin setup, we can modify the admin username and password. Controller mode is needed for remote settings, so we'll skip this. We can configure the ports in the system settings. This feature is similar to remote settings. Again, skip. In management, we can factory restore the ER605. It functions like the reset pinhole, but done inside the software. Here you can create configuration backups and save it as bin files. This is considered a good practice if you wish to create multiple changes to your settings. Restoring a stable backup if you make mistakes will save you a good amount of time for reconfiguring. Reboot will reboot the system. Very useful tool if you placed your unit far beyond reach, like I do. Here you can upgrade the firmware to the latest version. It can be downloaded at the official TP-link website. My personal policy is that only update if the old one has issues. Here you can modify controller settings and use it if your configuration is controller mode. I'm using ER605 as a standalone, so I'll skip this one. SNMP is useful in monitoring devices in a network if they support it, and I don't think I have such devices, so I'll also skip this one. Here, you can use ping or traceroute to troubleshoot connection issues or have your technician assist you with your diagnostic results via remote assistance. Again, using any remote feature requires controller mode, so skip. Here is where you set your unit's time settings. And I wanted to get it directly from the internet. I live in the Philippines, so +8. Lastly, we have the logs of all the router's activities. It includes failed login attempts, server access, everything. It even logged my time renewal. Oh, I'm still not connected to the internet. That's why. And that's all about system tools. Now that we talked about system tools and the importance of backup in case you messed up, let's go with the multi-WAN setup. Here, I'm using two separate test cables in order not to mess up my already working configuration. Best practice is to test a new device first before integrating it to the system. I am inserting both cables directly to the two internet modem routers. I'll have the globe on the first port and smart on the second port.
NANI?!
That's Shiro's. So much shedding this time of year. You can tell that the cables are detected if the system LED is now flashing, as well as the two LEDs of ports 1 and 2. Logging in the system will reflect the detected connections. You have to wait a few seconds till the status changes to link up. In traffic statistics, we can see the amount of packets being transmitted by the interfaces and specific IP addresses that sends or receive those packets. This is a good way of knowing what goes behind the background and who is taking or sending your network data. As of the moment, I'm connected to my browser and some Google searches were up, so these are normal. Only one WAN port is enabled by default. For a multi-WAN setup, we need to enable it first in order to use it as a WAN port. We can also see the configuration and status of the interface if it is properly detected. Let's enable it now. Restarting the unit via software takes some time. I even thought that the system crashed. Just be patient and wait for a couple of minutes. When you go back, you can now see that there are already two interfaces on system status. And in the network WAN page, WAN/LAN1 is now added to the tabs. On the WAN tab, we can view and modify the connection config and status. These settings will depend on the type of connection that you used. By default, it is set to dynamic. In this video, I leave it as it is. If I'm not mistaken, using a different connection type can let me aggregate several WANs and combine their bandwidth to make my internet connection even faster. And that, my friend, is a video for another day. My Globe WAN connection is assigned a .8 IP. Opening this in another tab mirrors the router configuration settings. My Smart WAN connection is assigned a .54. Again, opening it will redirect us to a mirror page of our router's configuration settings. The IP address is dynamic and automatically assigned, probably by the ER605 router. The real address of the modem in operation is the address of the gateway. Opening the gateway IP will take us to Globe's configuration settings. This is because Globe's cable is in the WAN port and is considered as a primary WAN. Moving forward, in Preferences, take a note on the time range option. This is a necessary option in load balancing. We'll go back to this later. Next, go to Transmission, then Load Balancing to enable our two WANs to work together in case of connection issues. Enable load balancing should be checked, then leave the other settings alone. The Link Backup tab will enable us to select a primary WAN and a backup WAN. The concept is self-explanatory. If the primary WAN fails, then the backup will work on its behalf. Next, add and select a primary WAN. Here, I'm selecting WAN, which is my Globe Fiber modem. And backup would be WAN/LAN1, which is my Smart 4G modem. In mode, we have three options: timing and two failovers. In timing, we set a schedule when the modems will be activated. The time range option in Preferences is needed if you want to create a custom effective time. In time range, any is the default activated option. You may add a specific time range if you wish and make the modems have their own work shifts. Going back, I'm planning for a failover option rather than a timing schedule since my backup modem speed is not as good as my primary. It's because I only have one primary and one backup. Selecting either of the failovers will not matter. After clicking OK, the rule is now added. Online detection is our monitor if a port is offline or not. Here, the primary port is the one being online. My two modems' IP addresses are both set to .254. With the primary port activated, accessing .254 will open up Globe's configuration. Speed test also detected it is a Globe connection. To simulate a failure, I'll remove my Globe cable from the router. It takes around 30 seconds for the backup one to take over. Opening the 254 will point me to Smart's 4G modem settings. Speed test now detects my connection is on Smart. Now let's put the globe cable back. It's back online in around 20 seconds. Well, it's safe to say that it takes around 20 to 30 seconds for the modems to switch operation. That's fair enough. Now is the best time to save the configuration. Do this every time when planning on changing a huge amount of settings. In case you mess up something, it will be easy to restore to a stable configuration. And that's how you set up Multi-WAN. Okay, here's the good part. This is probably the cheapest gigabit load balancer from TP-link yet. Design-wise, I think it's good. Full metal casing with a good weight and grip. It won't move that easily even if you unplug and move around cables. The important LED indicators are there. They may not be in the right places that I want them to be, but I'm hard to please anyway. The automatic multi-WAN load balancing is there. Well, that's the main reason I bought this anyway. There's so many other features to explore. Okay, here's the bad part. This is not your typical low-cost home gigabit router, and the features are quite overwhelming if you don't know anything about networking. But nothing's impossible if you just try to learn. The detection time and restarting process takes a while. But I think that's normal with routers. You'll just have to be patient about that. The TP-link ER605 is marketed as a business solution, and most computer shops that are selling consumer-grade products won't even have this in stock. And well, most homes won't need this kind of router anyway. I guess I'm the only one in our area using a dual ISP setup. This is a product for, businesses and for power users that want to have a better management control of their network. I was very happy I saw this on my feed and I thought, this is the one missing link to my ultimate home network configuration. This is only the beginning. My plan is to soon make this my primary DHCP server. Probably in the next video, I'll experiment more on the bandwidth control, the firewall, the VPN configurations, or probably set up an OMADA software controller via PC or by hardware, and play with remote management. With that being said, be sure to comment down what you want in the next video. Also hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more upcoming ER605 tutorials. And this is Shiro, my corgi mix. He sheds a lot. That's it for now. Stay safe. Ciao, best.